Hey everybody, so this is not how I meant to be doing this. You may have noticed that there's no sound coming from the video here. Um, but yeah, this was supposed to be my ball review for the Arctic Vibe. Uh, that mic on top of my hat is off, and so yeah. But essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to voice over it, let you know what I'm thinking as I throw each shot. This is just about an hour or two ago, so I still have it plenty fresh in my head. Uh, I've only coming into this, I had only thrown a few shots with this ball. I threw about maybe 15, 20 shots with it. Uh, at a different center from what I usually bowl at. This center I bowl it a lot more often. This is Park Center Lanes in Canton, Ohio. I don't bowl at the one that I got the ball drilled at very often. In fact, they actually have a brand new lane surface. They just installed HPLs about a week and a half ago, so they were playing very tight, very tight. So the first shot you see there goes a little bit high. At this point, I'm like, okay, maybe this camera angle won't work because I'm a big dude. So we end up moving the camera a little bit here. Overall, I was actually really impressed with the performance I got out of this ball. It actually fills a hole in my bag that I was hoping that it would fit right into. Essentially, it's going to be that symmetrical hybrid piece that's going to be a great step down from my benchmark once the lanes start to get a little bit toasty towards the end of the maybe second game of league on a five-man league. I think it's going to fill that role absolutely perfectly. So these first few shots, I'm trying to play up 10. I'm standing 17, trying to play basically straight up the second arrow. Now, that one you saw, I leaked way right, and it dove. Certainly responds to friction pretty aggressively. It responds to the friction aggressively, but I don't want to say that it overreads. I did start to notice it a little bit more towards the end of my practice session today, that it was a little bit jumpier off the spot as I got more games on it, and that could be the case as I go along. See, this shot was a lot better, ended up leaving a 4-pin. I was a lot closer to where I wanted to throw the ball. I don't expect that to be the best area to play with this ball, especially for somebody with my kind of rev rate. I think that I would just have to throw it too hard. I don't think I'd be able to be consistent enough myself. I think that you could play this line if you're a high-speed guy and have a little bit lower rev rate than I do. I think that might be a good place. You can play pretty much straight up 10 on a house shot, and I think you'd be just fine. The next couple shots here, I'm going to throw with the breakaway. I'm going to be doing this ball comparison with the breakaway. The breakaway is my benchmark. You see the breakaway just kind of reads a little bit earlier and just kind of sat there a little bit more. It wasn't nearly as jumpy when it read the friction, but it was certainly earlier. The breakaway is my benchmark ball right now. I did touch it with a little bit of surface. It's pretty lane shine right now, but I did hit it with like a 3000 pad, but it probably has enough games on it that's pretty much lane shine to stable now. One of the things that really impressed me about the Arctic Vibe is how I was able to play pretty comfortably anywhere inside of that initial line that I started out with. See that shot right there? This was a 5 move, and this right here, I said, just call me Brunsnick. Just call me Brunsnick. But that shot that I just stoned 8 on, that was a move 5 to the left with my feet. So I'm standing on 22, trying to slide on 22. I don't drift very much, so I try to stay pretty much right on in line there. That was me throwing, standing 22, trying to throw over about 12 or 13. And breakpoint's going to be pretty close to the same the whole time. I'm trying to get it right around 7 or 8, give or take. With it being a house shot, I didn't have to be super accurate. I was more focused on trying to hit my target, the arrows, to be honest with you. Another good shot. Again, got to that same place. That one was a little bit inside the target, maybe a little bit fast. And you saw it got down the lane, like you would expect it to, but it still had enough on the back end that even though it got caught in the puddle a little bit, and Park Center is infamous for the wet dry that it has, the fact that it was able to skid through and still have enough to get through the back end and to rip the rack out, it was a really good sign for me. I'm going to throw a couple shots here with the breakaway to give you a comparison from the same area, and you see that's a pretty good shot. A lot more of that benchmark look. That's going to be right where I like to throw the breakaway, standing around probably 22, 23, and just playing that 13 to 8, 12 to 8 kind of line. I think that's where that ball is going to be an absolute killer. I haven't gotten to bowl a lot on house shot with the breakaway either, because I got it during the summer. I bowl pretty much only on sport shots for the most part, except for a couple tournaments here and there. So I think I'm going to throw one more shot here. Yep, here's one more with the breakaway. Same area. And again, just that classic benchmark shape. You really can't go wrong with it. I think it's pretty obvious already at this point from the shots that we've seen that the Arctic Vibe is going to give you a little extra length, a little bit more back end, but it's not going to be super snappy. I wasn't sure what to expect. I haven't had a symmetric HK22 hybrid ball, and so I wasn't sure what to expect. This shot that we're about to see here, this is another 5 to the left. This is going to be me standing on 27, and I believe that I'm going to be targeting around 17 or 18, if I remember right. We'll see here in a second. Okay, so yeah, that was the move 5 left. Holy mackerel, that ball just goes through the pin so strong. So that was another 5 left. That was me getting to around 27 at the line. Ball went over about 6. Yeah, that was closer to about 17 at the arrows. And again, same thing, getting now to about 8 or 9 at the break point. Just because typical house shot, that's where I want to be here. And that ball just ripped those pins apart. Continuation, absolutely insane with this ball when you get it into the right part of the lane. And the nice thing is, for me anyway, I was able to be all over the place with this ball and have pretty darn good success. Gonna throw another shot here with the Arctic Vibe, try to repeat that shot, see what we do. I will say with this Arctic Vibe, I did bowl another game after I got done with this just to see what I could shoot with it. Here's the shot. Another beauty, just 10 in the pit. I mean, this line right here that I'm playing, this is what I normally would play for my typical league. That's my comfort zone. You know, when I'm starting out, I love playing that line. Again, standing right around 26, 27, trying to get the ball over 16, 17 at the arrows. That's my bread and butter. That's where I feel most comfortable. And here in Ohio, because of the amount of friction on the lane beds, I can't do that terribly often. And see, this right here, this is a good example of where the breakaway is starting to lose a little bit too much energy. This point in the lane is exactly where I would go from the breakaway and go into the Arctic Vibe. Once I get, like I said earlier, once I get into that game 2, towards the end of game 2, beginning game 3, breakaway starting to labor a little bit down lane. I need something to get the corner around a little bit better. Arctic Vibe is going to be the perfect play off of that breakaway for me. The lane beds here in Ohio anyway. Here's another shot with the breakaway. I got a little bit more hand on that one, so it was able to read a little bit earlier. It was a little bit slower too. But the lane beds here in Northeast Ohio, for the most part, at least where I am, are starting to get up there in age. And so there's a lot of friction in the heads, and there's a lot of oil in the middle. And they like to cliff it out big time here. I would say that the Arctic Vibe is probably going to be a go-to ball for me on most of my league shots. It may even be on some nights the first ball out of my bag. And for the price point, the performance of it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you can't beat it. This next shot here, I'm going to move another 5 to the left. I'm going to end up being at 32 on this one. Another good shot. Again, that was 32. That ball was trying to get it right around 20, and it was pretty much right over 20. And you can see, even as I'm starting to open up these angles a little bit, get a little bit steeper, get a little bit more around the side of it, it's still doing the right thing through the pins all the way to the left. And I think you're going to see here, I stopped throwing the breakaway because I know that it's just not going to look the way that it needs to look. And so you're going to see here, I stopped throwing the breakaway here in a couple more shots. Just wanted to show a couple more with the Arctic Vibe. Here's going to be another one with the Arctic Vibe. Again, same thing, try to get it over 20. That was about 19 or 20, 19 and a half maybe. Got out to about 8 or 9 and just ripped the rack 10 back in the pit. I really feel this is going to be a ball that's a true sleeper for a lot of people. When it comes to being able to throw it on a variety of different conditions. I've never thrown a vibe. This is the first, in fact, this is the first reactive hammer ball I've ever thrown. I really was thinking that this was going to be a ball that I would only really be able to use on the burn. Here's a shot with the breakaway here, showing you exactly what I mean. I got it into the puddle, and it just didn't have enough chug left in order to get back to the pocket the way it needed to. I really thought that this was going to be a later in the evening kind of ball for me. But the more I think about it and the more I've thrown it, the more I'm starting to think that I can actually throw this pretty much whenever I want. If I want to start the night even a little bit further to the left than I normally would, I could bring that out of my bag. If I knew that nobody was going to be in that part of the lane, I could just have that whole area to myself. I could do that if I wanted to. There's another shot with the breakaway. That one got a little bit further outside, so I got into the dry a little bit. That's why I was able to jump off the spot a little bit there and be able to hit a little bit high, trip the 4 out. At this point now is where we're starting to get into a little bit of a nosebleed area. On this shot, I believe this shot's going to be from 37. I'm going to be trying to get it around 22 at the arrows. And this is about as deep as I would want to play on most of the house shots. I do get further left than this from time to time, but this is pretty much as far as I'll go. So let's see. I think this was a pretty decent shot coming up here. Yeah, right around 22, 23 at the arrows. That was a little inside of target, actually. That was closer to about 23. So it stayed in the puddle a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But you could see it still had enough on the back end that it was able to get a nice little light mixer there. It certainly wasn't an ideal shot. It's certainly not a line that I would want to play all the time. But I think you'll see on the next one, I'm able to project a little bit further to the outside. And it's going to make a much nicer move back into the pocket. And there it is. You see, I got a little bit more under it, got a little bit more oomph on it, slowed it down a little bit, and it was able to get through that muck in the middle and just go absolutely tear through the pins. Ran over the 8 pin on the back end, barely got the 9 out. So, plenty of continuation on this ball. Again, something I wasn't sure what to expect, with it being a shinier HK22 ball. Even though it is a hybrid, I wasn't sure if it was going to essentially try to make its move and then putter out on. That one I got way wide, and it still came all the way back. That's going to be the last shot of this video. This is me saying, hey, thank you for watching. Final thoughts. For the bang for the buck, you can't get much better than this. The Arctic Vibe is absolutely fantastic when it comes to value. And if you're looking for a piece that's going to be the next step down from your benchmark, it's going to be the ball to go to. Um, I know that some people have had some mixed reviews on it. I know that some people have had limited success. I really have not had any sort of issue with this ball in terms of where I can play on the lane, except for maybe if I'm standing real close to the ditch, all the way over to the right. It's a little bit too responsive for the house shots that I bowl on for that. But I think that this ball is a winner if you like to bowl. If you bowl in a center with older, higher friction panels, or even old wood, I think this is a good ball for that. And I think that this ball is going to be good on lower volume, higher length sports shots. Like if you're looking at like a 42, 43, 44 foot sports shot, I think maybe not necessarily right out first ball out of the bag, but as you get later in the block, I think that this ball's definitely going to be able to come into play. It's very versatile for the price point, and if you have a chance, I really recommend that you go ahead and pick one of these up. I'm not endorsed or sponsored by anybody. I'm certainly a free agent, but this ball is my first foray into hammer reactives, and I am definitely impressed. If I do start to notice that, like with other HK22 balls, that I need to hit the cover with some surface, I will let you guys know. I may even do a follow-up review to let you know that I may need to do that at some point. But otherwise, thank you guys very much for watching. Again, sorry about the sound issue. You'll have noticed that throughout this, I'm going to edit some sound in, just so it doesn't sound stupid quiet. But again, thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. We'll see you later.